Hi everyone. This is Kim Hutchings. I'm VP of Alliances with UsDM. I want to thank you for joining our webinar today, which is second in our Life Science Cloud series. Today we're going to be talking about automated quality management to help increase your customer satisfaction, and I think most importantly, how you do that in the cloud. We've got two presenters today. We're presenting today with 123 Compliance. This is a partnership that we're really excited about. 123 Compliance's functionality is, as you'll see today, allowing our customers to replace a lot of their legacy on-premise systems and really transform their businesses. So I'd like to introduce two speakers who will be talking to you today about our topic. The first is David Blewett. David is VP of UsDM's Cloud Compliance Practice, and he has been validating cloud, specifically Salesforce and Salesforce applications and partners like 123 Compliance for over 7 years. He's been working with many life science organizations beyond that, specific to compliance, probably close to 15. Also joining us today is Clarent Yamari, who is the CEO of 123 Compliance. And he also is, with his technology that you'll be seeing today, is really helping companies move their business processes to the cloud. And we're talking about regulated business processes today like quality management and complaint management, both accomplished experts in their space. So for those of you who have not attended our webinars in the past, I will just want to do a quick introduction to UsDM. We are focused exclusively in the life science space, so we only work with pharmaceutical, med device, biotech companies, and our goal really is to help companies achieve and maintain compliance. So we've invested a lot in the past few years in helping companies like yours move to the cloud, and with 123 Compliance, both have really become leaders in this space. You'll be hearing from 123 Compliance today, but we also do work with other best-of-breed vendors out there, including Oracle, Salesforce.com, DocuSign. If you look on the right-hand side of the slide here, it's a long list here, and I'm not going to go into each one specifically, but I do want to point out some of the areas beyond cloud that make up UsDM. So we've got specialized teams really in all those areas where you're looking to implement systems and validate them, so clinical applications, quality, healthcare. And our team of experts really around compliance, but also regulatory business processes like UDI and serialization. So we're not just helping companies meet compliance, but really trying to change your business processes to become more efficient and competitive. And again, that's one of the topics of today. 123 Compliance, like UsDM, is also focused exclusively in the life science space. Leadership team has over 50 years of experience in pharmaceutical, biotech, business and compliance implementations. They are the current leader in cloud-based quality compliance applications and are implementing in many of the top 10 pharma and medical device companies right now. Again, sort of changing the way that companies are doing business with their application, helping them become more, helping them implement systems that are certainly less costly, less complicated, and again, all in the cloud. With that, just a couple of logistics, I'm sorry. We're going to try to stick to 30 minutes today, so we'll probably wrap up towards 25 minutes from now. We do invite you to enter questions. If you've got questions on the left-hand side of the presentation, you can put those in the chat area, and we'll be talking about those right after the presentation. We will be recording the webinar, so if you'd like to share it with friends afterwards, you can do that on our website. Also, we'll be talking about the webinar on our social and media pages. So, or check out the website or contact us directly at usdm@usdm.com. Now with that, I will turn it over to David.
Okay. Thank you, Kim. So hi everyone, this is Dave Blewett. I'm the VP of Cloud Compliance, as Kim mentioned. Today, we just want to do a quick overview, talking about the connected quality system, what that means to you, how that's going to benefit you in the cloud, and make everything streamlined and more efficient. What is true automation versus data reports, what the differences are, and again, how the benefits are. What's the impact to your customer service organization? How is this process, this connected process, going to really affect you in a good way? And the same thing on the sales side of things. What really benefits the customer, how they become happy based on the processes that we're going to talk to. And then finally, we're going to talk about how to migrate those processes and data into the cloud to make it easy to connect to the platform, into the whole ethos. Through APIs and APIs, the metadata-based systems. So we should have some information on that. And then at the end, we'll have a Q&A session to go through. So if you have any questions as you go through, like Kim mentioned, to talk about anything on here or anything specific to the cloud at all, please do fire them off, and we should have time to cover those at the end real quick. So I have a couple of slides to do. I'm going to talk right now about what cloud validation is and how you can embrace the power of the cloud, what it really means. How can we use our cloud systems that we have already or are thinking about using? How do we use them more effectively? What can we take advantage of? If we use our system, our platform that we've already got, say we're using Salesforce right now to do pure sales and nothing to do with GXP functionality. Well, obviously, if you validate that platform, you can suddenly start taking advantage of the huge power that this process in the cloud does give you. There's a slew of applications out there and processes that you can use, from sample distribution and PAE and complaint management, things like that, case management, that can really help your company to streamline everything, and everything talks to each other. And at the end of it, it's not any different really, fundamentally, when you're talking about compliance in the cloud. To have that qualification, validation, and maintenance, there are processes that we have that do that, and that other companies do as well. It's not any more difficult than it was 20 years ago. People didn't really know what validation was and started to get worried about it. But now we have all these processes in place that we can help you get into the cloud. You can move your new platforms and make them compliant, and they've been shown to be compliant. They've gone through FDA audits, and people are now realizing, we can actually use this to do our GXP functionality. We can use Salesforce, or we can use other cloud systems as well. So we at UsDM are using best practice methodologies. GAMP5, for example, is our kind of Bible, if you like, to validate and maintain these platforms. So we don't just do the validation at the front, we do the maintenance going forward as well. So that's important with the cloud, right? Because you have changes coming forward that are more or less forced upon you from cloud vendors. Some vendors give you the choice, some vendors don't. They just push them out to you, but you need to maintain your validation going forward. So that's a critical element that you have to do. So every release, you want to have a new set or an additional set of OQ testing scripts that will verify that not only are the new functions working correctly per the requirements, but also your existing functions that you may have that are not standard out-of-the-box functions. You may have configured certain elements for your own company, so you want to make sure they're not broken as well. So that's an important part, of course, with cloud, to take advantage of it. So, the benefits you can suddenly start opening up. You have this really low total cost of ownership. You pay as you use it. You have the best practices built in. It's very agile, and of course you have the support. With Salesforce 24/7 support and scalability. You can start utilizing mobile applications that are connected to the cloud, and then security and data is actually one of the big things that people are scared of, kind of thinking about the cloud. But it's actually, in my opinion, when I talk to people, and we talk about how that's managed, and we can talk about this later on. I'm sure there'll probably be some questions that might come up, but security is not something that's less prevalent in the cloud. It's actually more prevalent in the cloud with the way that the data is segregated and moved across the country. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Florent, and he's going to talk about the connected enterprise and what that means for your company and its quality management systems.
Thanks, David. Hi, everybody. This is Florent Ineri with 123 Compliance. First I will do a little bit of a recap of what this whole webinar series is about. It's about sort of having, from a quality and regulatory perspective, what does it mean to have a connected enterprise in the cloud, and how does that help the company going forward? I think, in real life, and in real business life, a lot of the business functions are actually integrated, and they do communicate with each other. So think of, the customer communicates with customer service, with sales and field service, and those in turn communicate and work together with quality and regulatory to do, like in some cases, for example, complaint handling or adverse event reporting, and then also root cause analysis for investigations or lab analysis. And then they, these groups in turn work together with manufacturing and quality in the context of manufacturing, which also works with suppliers and quality functions related to suppliers. So these are all, in real life, in business, these business processes integrate with each other. And what has, business has needed for a long time, and now is far more easy and possible, is to have sort of the applications and the platform to support these actual business processes, that interconnectivity that actually the business process requires and needs. And so, for example, so what that means is that nowadays the cloud platforms provide a lot of these functionality is kind of built in, and it's there, and the functionality leap that companies get in the cloud nowadays to achieve this interconnectedness is huge. So going forward, what that means is that you see the best practices, and the path forward is to actually have the tool set and to have the platforms that will actually facilitate this interconnectivity between all the business functions, and that being on the mobile devices, that being on your laptop, being on the cloud, and so on. We are seeing that already. We're seeing sort of a push towards, for example, just to give you an example, bringing the suppliers into your CAPA workflow. Think of SCARs here, for example, and or audits. How you bring these suppliers into your workflow, into your application, essentially to work with you, so that you can handle these processes faster and better. The same thing happens with the customer, being the patient or the provider. They communicate with the company in various ways, and sort of allowing them to reach directly to the company, to sort of do reporting, to get feedback from the company, is so much easier nowadays. And I think customers are seeing that. We're seeing a push to self-service for the customer, and it's definitely the path that the industry is taking right now. So, so that takes us now to today's topic, which is, automation. What does an automated quality system means for the business and business in general, and the life science business specifically? So, what that means is that, on the consumer side, you've seen sort of automated communications. Think of Amazon and telling you that the other people, you bought this book, but people like you also bought these other books. That's an example of sort of an automated system that is, pushing forward a business process that is handling in the background. And the same thing would in this industry, the life science industry, on the business side. That means that, for example, key opinion leader customers. Let's say a device company has key opinion leaders, these are heavy users of the product, and they can require and need special care on the complaint handling side, for example, so that an upper threshold of let's say specific problem that they have or frequency of the problem can bring the right people together to find a solution, to communicate back to the customer, to find a solution of the root cause and communicate back to the customer. And all of this would happen sort of in collaboration with the sales and customer service. We certain processes like complaints and adverse events, we think are extensions of customer service. And in reality, that's what actually happens. A customer calls the company for a variety of reasons. Some of those reasons could be, on a flag that this is a complaint, and then the complaint department takes from there, the quality department takes from there, regulatory. And so, in real life, these are processes that are interconnected, and having the technology to support the interconnectedness in an automated way, we think makes a big difference. So the same sort of automation in handling, let's say, specific customers. You can handle specific products and issues related to those products. For example, a new product goes to market that needs special care and needs special attention from quality and regulatory. That handling of the process and alerting the right people and bringing the right people in connection with the sales and marketing and customer service is, we think, is powerful, and we're seeing customers requesting that. They've been actually requesting that for years. In my experience in the industry, there is always close correlation. Salespeople, for example, want to know what the issues are, the issues a customer has had. And also, salespeople need to be alerted when specific customers get, we've been asked these questions 10, 15 years ago. And right now, technology is such that these are so simple, so simple and so automated and so flexible to turn on these sort of collaborations with sales and customer service and marketing that it makes perfect sense for life science technology to move in this direction, to move into the cloud and the cloud platforms that make it all possible. So what that means is that, and I'll be talking about this in a little bit as well. That means that if you are a salesperson, so I'll go back to that. So, can the technology actually make this possible? I think, just to focus on this topic a little bit, it's huge, the functionality leap that companies get by moving to the modern cloud platforms. And I cannot stress it enough as to how much is possible, especially on the quality and regulatory space, where there's been, we think there's been very little innovation. Moving to the cloud is a big functionality leap, and then also these connectedness to the sales and customer service and marketing and regulatory. These are sort of all built in. These are systems these are platforms that started, many years ago as islands, and they had to be built from the beginning to be able to connect with other systems because they were in the cloud and most of the other applications were sort of on-premise. So they were built for interconnectivity from the beginning, and then now it shows. Plus, as these cloud platforms have expanded over time, it's this focus on sort of customer communication and customer service and bringing both internal and external people together and to find solutions and resolve problems is one of their biggest strengths. So what that means is that you get this seamless link to sales and customer service. So it means that a salesperson can go to the customer and say, hey, I saw that the last month you have had these 3 issues, and I see that they've been resolved. You know about this? Were you happy? Anything that we can do to make your life better? Are there any other issues? And then right there on the phone, on their mobile device, they can find all this information, report all this information, and show that the customer who is actually empowered, but also demonstrate the empowerment that this customer has, and then have credibility in front of this customer. That the issues that this customer have been actually handled, and they are a focus of the company. So you get salespeople now that can have knowledge, but also we are mentioning sales here quite a bit. All of this is happening in the GXP context. These are all regulated processes. So think of complaint handling as a regulated process. You are still doing reportability decisions. You are still doing investigations and lab analysis and root cause, and you are still doing actual reporting to the agencies. But you also, the customer is still in the loop. The customer, the communication with the customer on getting additional information, and then also feedback on what is done to resolve these issues, and how the company is working to make the experience better. All of these communications are also, all of these functionality is also part of the system as well. And so you are talking about a lot of these quality processes that are expanding. They're not just on the 4 walls of the quality department or regulatory department. They are also expanding, just like the business actually does not work within those parameters as well. Just as a tool set is also working outside of all those parameters. So in the end, you have a better customer relationship, better image, company image, and then at the same time, you're far more efficient. It's a lot easier to have an automated system that facilitates the customer communication and the inter-company communication and issue resolution than having somebody always watching the report, and when something is done, when something is late, and when something makes sense that needs to be done. So in the end, you get a better company image, and then that means you have a happy customer. I think this is the key here, that we sometimes tend to forget that quality is a huge part of what makes a life science company a better company, being able to, and which ultimately means have happier customers and increase in sales. And so this new technology facilitates that, makes a big difference. So with that said, I think another thing to think about is we have a bunch of systems right now in place that we've been working with for a long time, and moving to the cloud and having the cloud platform, we can move business process into the cloud. That might be hard. It might be too much work. And so I think one of the things that I sort of mentioned a little bit before is that cloud platforms nowadays are built to have far easier and far better connectivity to other systems. Still in a secure and safe manner, but much better. So what that translates is that migration to the cloud is so much easier than it would have been, that you would have even imagined having migration to another, on-premise system that you have right now. You're talking about a change in mindset and this big functionality lead that I mentioned to you. So you can transfer both sort of configurations and business processes and also the data into this cloud platform so much easier nowadays, so much faster, cheaper nowadays than you've ever been able to do before. And also, with on top of like things like uptime and things like disaster recovery and all these things that are kind of built into the cloud technology. And then just a little bit, I'm going to expand a little bit on security. That means there's two parts to the security that you have to think about. Is you have a specialized company like, for example, think of Salesforce.com. It's a specialized company that focuses on providing a service to a customer. So that means that they have a lot of staff that is just focused on security, that spends the entire time on security to making sure that data is safe and secure. And then you can have any IT department of any company that just cannot have those resources that they would need to spend to keep a system secure and safe. And you probably have seen that in the news, over the last 2 years. And then plus, we're talking about cloud technology that is sort of spread around the country, and it's multi-tenant, and even in the case of a break-in, it will be so much harder to figure out where the data is and where it comes from and whose data it is and all that stuff, because there is, that's the nature of technology that we're talking about. So with that said, I'm going to leave a couple. I think I'm done here. I think the next topic is the questions, and I'm going to move this to Kim.
Thank you so much. So folks on the line, if you do have other questions, we do have a couple, looks like, that have been posted for us. But if you have others that you can think of that you'd like to shoot over to us, please feel free. Maybe I'll go ahead and get started. First one I see here is, I have security fears for my sensitive data being in the cloud. How is this being addressed? And I'll let either one of you answer.
Okay. Sure, I can probably take that if you like. I know, Clarence, you just talked to some of that as well, so right. You may have been already answered. So we have the in the cloud, the relationship of the data, everything is encrypted. Salesforce themselves, in this instance, they don't have access to see that data unless you grant them that, which you wouldn't necessarily be doing. But there's no way they can actually see it themselves. It's spread around. It's multi-tenant. It's segregated. A breach of a hosted system gives you the data, right? Because everything's in one place. A breach into the cloud gives you segments of data, or a segment, which means nothing in and of itself. So, and of course, you've got to remember that these companies, rather than having your own hosted system or using a data center that you either have yourself or is out there as a service provider, the cloud systems have been through multiple iterations of security audits and strengthening there, so that they are the top in the world at keeping this data secure and making it fully encrypted and fully unavailable to anyone that you don't want to have it. Okay.
Great. And this next question kind of looks like it's built alongside of that. Maybe talk for a second. It says, I'm wary of using cloud technology because I will no longer be able to have control over the infrastructure and its qualification.
Okay. That's a great question. Yeah,
I could do that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean that's a question that comes up all the time, and lack of control and fear there, as well as the qualification. You don't have obviously ownership of the system and the hardware. You can't go and touch the racks and so on in the data centers. You obviously provide you provide yourself security by doing your vendor audits and establishing SLAs at the very beginning that are very robust to ensure that your cloud vendor has all of the controls and the checks and balances in place to maintain that infrastructure, and they've done the qualification, and you can utilize that piece by leveraging that effort that's already been completed and already been audited multiple times by not only the FDA but also life sciences companies throughout the country and the world. So that infrastructure has been qualified to a very high level, and you get that when you do vendor audits, or companies like UsDM can provide those for you as well. So that piece is taken care of, and you don't have to worry about that particular element. Now, when you do implementations, of course, you have a small piece of installation qualification you want to do to verify that your connectivity is there. You've got the configuration pieces that you need to have to set up your system. But from an infrastructure perspective and cloud technology, then you utilize that and you maintain that throughout the life of your usage with your SLA that you need to establish with that company.
Thank you, David. Next question. Do you actually see self-service from customers? All right, maybe that's something
I'll take that.
To. Thank you.
I'll take that. We actually do see, so I'm assuming that this means customer self-service. So, for example, complaint entry and seeing what the status is and their resolutions and so on. Yeah, we actually do see that, and we see implementations of that. And we actually see a lot of the companies planning to move there. That has been like the most amazing part, right? How like the floodgates open, like everybody wants to do self-service now. And I think it's, like I mentioned in the presentation, or where the best practice for the industry is going, that's pretty obvious it's going there right now.
Okay, and this might be sort of a follow-up. Salespeople compliance with data entry and follow-up is difficult. What do you seeing companies do for that?
Yeah, that is the age-old issue that every complaint department has had, basically, to get the salespeople to actually give you all the information right up front and follow up and all that stuff, and enter the data instead of just calling the customer service line. So now you don't have just customers waiting on the line, but you also have salespeople waiting on the line to tell you what happened and so on. And I think that's where the technology nowadays is so much better, because you are essentially competing with a phone call. So a customer says, so if you can have the technology so that doing working on your mobile to enter that stuff versus doing a phone call is faster, then we see a lot more compliance with that, especially if you are integrating with all the other functions. So, for example, a lot of the CRM functions that salespeople work with are in a mobile device, and then just extending that to work on the complaints and adverse events, that makes a big difference. So yeah, that's a known issue, but I think the technology nowadays is far different, and it facilitates that much easier.
Thank you. And this might have been addressed a bit towards the end, but maybe if there's anything else you guys can think of to add to this. What are the benefits of moving to the cloud in general, and why is it the right time to migrate my systems and processes now?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we talked a lot about that already, so some of that's probably been answered. I mean, in terms of why now, obviously, the technology's been around a long time. People have been slowly kind of realizing that they can embrace it. Companies, I've worked with big biotech, big pharma companies that have moved into the cloud significantly and moved a lot of GXP functionality into the cloud over the past 7 years, in fact. But companies are now jumping on board. They're now realizing, it's like a domino effect. The FDA is actually themselves moving into the cloud. They have big data initiatives that enable storage and analysis for enormous data sets, over gigabytes and small numbers now. They're talking terabytes of data per day from just from some companies themselves, not just everybody. So they can't manage that, and they're realizing that the cloud is the only way to do so, and the power that gives, really opens the door there. So that's one of the reasons, people are starting to get less and less worried and embrace the cloud. And the other reasons, people are establishing, companies like UsDM and other companies are establishing processes that implement and maintain compliance in a simple manner, so you can actually start to use it and have that sense of confidence in the system that it's not something that they have to be worried about and being not compliant. It's actually fairly simple to qualify and validate. And then there are new applications, of course, being developed all the time. 123 Compliance's applications are an awesome tool that you can use for quality management. There are other tools out there that you can use to do a lot of GXP's functionality that are being developed all the time. And once you've platform qualified, you've qualified that initial platform, you can put these on relatively simply and start to utilize that new technology. So that's why people are moving there now.
Thank you, David. I don't see any other questions in our chat area. So for those of you who are on the line, if you'd like to think of something and you'd like to follow up, our contact details are here. Certainly can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. Again, the recording of this webinar will be available on our website. And again, thanks so much for your time. Please reach out again with any questions, and we'll look forward to hopefully seeing you on our next webinar. Thanks so much. Have a great day.